I learned it's because corporate America has a grip on you, has control of you, and that control is debt service. Is you going to work every month to service debt. The debt on your cars, the debt on your home, the debt on your credit cards, student loans, the debt on the vacation you might have financed or a boat. And when you communicate or when you start freeing yourself with debt, you're seen as a threat to the order that is there, that corporate America has over you. And so as I became more financially independent, I could get things like raises because Michael doesn't have to be here and we know he doesn't have to be here. And then I could get approvals for longer vacation time because we know Michael can leave anytime he wants. And then it turned into, well, we really need to get rid of Michael. It's bad for everybody else that people sees Michael getting all these
You get
things.
what you want, yeah.
Yes, yes. And so I recommend everyone, don't do what I did, okay? Don't let the cat out of the bag. Keep it to yourself when you're doing real estate. Realize that you're going to be surrounded by people who are going to show you what they believe is the way of life. And their way of life is to ride a desk until you retire. And I didn't want that. I wanted to retire when I was young and see the world. And real estate brought me that opportunity.
That's amazing. So how long did it take you to quit your job?
From the first time I bought the house hack and to quitting my job, about 5 years. For 3 or 3.5 of those years, I was just doing the house hack. I wasn't really super focused on real estate. I was still focused on my career, but when I really put my foot on the gas, it was about 2 years. Yeah, when I started buying single family off-market stuff, it was about 2 years. But if you want to measure it from the time I bought my house hack, it was about 5.5.
But you have a lot of discipline. You are very, very disciplined. Have you ever... Was there a day where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore? Or do you ever feel like this is too hard?
I appreciate that you think that I have discipline because I think I'm rather undisciplined. And I think by living our lives the way we have, we've given ourselves margin to not be disciplined. That if you don't have high fixed costs, you can spend whatever you want on a single month. You can go spoil your family. You can go on a trip and then it doesn't harm you. If you have high fixed costs, and you are not disciplined with your budget, it goes on a credit card or it comes out of savings or it comes out of retirement, and it really does harm you. So I appreciate that you think I'm disciplined because I don't feel disciplined at all. I don't feel as disciplined as I am with my sleep, with my diet, with my investing, with my business, and I feel like I need to get better at that. But part of what kept me motivated, even at times when it was difficult, was I think I have this benefit that I just never believed anything was real. Every time I had a job or a paycheck, I felt like everything was temporary. And I think I partially got that from my dad being in the swimming pool business, because he could make a lot of money during the summer and then no money during the winter. And then one of my first jobs that I had was in oil and gas, where it was feast.
Hey, isn't real estate the same thing?
Yes, it is.
You make a lot of money one month and you make no money the next month.
That's right, feast or famine. And then I worked in oil and gas, and it was feast or famine as well. We built land-based oil rigs, drilling rigs. And you knew when the contract was coming up, when the project was being complete, and we would get laid off for 3 or 4 or 6 months and then get called back whenever they got another contract. And so I see it as a blessing, but I just never believed that a paycheck would always be there for me. And I was surrounded by people that had fancy degrees from high-powered universities, and they lived in a world where they went from no money, because they were a college kid, to probably making a lot of money. And it's been consistent for them. And so because of that, they believe that they can always work. And I am very certain, and I tried to impart this onto people that I care about, that you are not always guaranteed a job. That there are market downturns, there are office politics, there are mergers and acquisitions that happen, and there is a time where you will be without a job. And so I ask people, how much financial runway do you have? At your current lifestyle, how many months can you live without working? And for me, I always assumed that was coming right around the corner. Even though in my last job I worked for like 7 or 8 years with no interruption to my salary, I still lived my life like it could happen any day. And that's also what motivated me to invest in real estate.
Well, that's really awesome. I think you touched on so many key points today. You're just full of surprises.
Thank you.
See, I ask many guests this questions. What would today Michael advise 18-year-old Michael? But I feel like you have been just really disciplined so far. I'm not sure if I don't know. What advice do you have for your 18-year-old Michael?
I feel like I'm talking to 18-year-old Michael every time I talk to young people at real estate meetups. But I would tell them everything you think you need, you don't need. Everything you think you want won't make you happy and won't solve your problems. Everything that you truly want is on the other side of a cash flowing asset, and save and invest your money. I mean, that's and learn something entrepreneurial, some kind of sales, some kind of marketing, and learn ways to work together on teams, and learn things that, quite frankly, none of this is taught in schools. So start learning from sources other than what they teach you in college or the public school system.
I want to touch on something real quick. I think that we want the people who are listening or watching to know how easy it is if they really want to give it a try. Like for you, someone who came from a non-real estate background, you didn't come from a sale background, right? You come from, I would say, more of an analysis type position, and you got into real estate. You figure out how to market for deal. You figure out how to make the deal happen. You know, what was the biggest challenge for you when you first went from, corporate job to real estate?
So one of my biggest challenges when I started doing direct to seller marketing when I got into real estate was, initially I thought it was all a numbers game, like something is worth $10 and that's what I can pay for it. And I was just looking for people that understood it was worth $10. But what it took me a while to understand is that really to when you're doing direct to seller marketing and you're talking to sellers and homeowners that have a distressed piece of real estate, is there's always something else other than price. There's always something else other than price. Have you found that to be true, V?
I think it was never about the money. There was something else. Yeah, it was never about the money. They may say that it's the money, but it was never about the money. There's always a hidden motivation that they may tell us and they may not. But it was never about the money.
Yeah. So it took me a while for me to learn that as well, is that I had a deal where the numbers made sense and everyone was in agreement with the numbers, but I couldn't get the contract signed. I couldn't get the deal to closing. And I come to learn that there was a son-in-law who was upset that the seller, who was the mother, was dealing with me directly and not involving him. And he kept getting brought up in conversations and added to text messages. And he met me at the property one day and just started yelling at me whenever I'd been talking for 2 months about buying this house. And the legal owner was the mother, and the mother wanted to sell it. No one lived in it. It was vacant for almost a year. Couldn't understand what was going on until this guy shows up out there and started yelling at me and pulled up on his phone, "This isn't going to work. We need to change this date. We need to change the closing. You're not getting 30 days to close." And it just dawned on me that I have to satisfy this guy. And I just asked him in my nicest tone, "Can I please have 30 days to close this deal?" And he's like, "Well, all right, I'll allow you to have 30 days. No other terms were changed. He just needed to feel like he brought a victory to the family, and that he needed to show that he protected his mother. I later found out, after the deal closed, the mother apologized to me and said that he was in charge of some other properties she had in the past and it did not go well. And so he needed to be vindicated, or he needed some kind of redemption that he helped the family through, because in the past he had harmed the family, I come to learn.
Yeah, things always come out at some point.
Yeah. And so every deal that I've done, I like what you said, B. You said it was never about the money. There's another problem, and you have to find a way to solve it. And they're never going to tell you what that problem is, because sometimes they're ashamed, sometimes they're embarrassed, and sometimes they don't even know what it is. They're just not feeling it.
This episode is brought to you by Jet Lending. For over 20 years, Jet Lending has been helping real estate investors succeed. They offer 100% financing so you can be in at $0 at closing. I can always count on Jet Lending to fund my deals. If you're looking to fund your next deal, contact our friend over at jetlending.com.